what's going on? Walking Man 45. It's been a while. Got some good morning coffee for us. So today we're in the workshop of Doom. Just updating a few recent renovations, saving knives from rust. I've shown this one before. This is an old Western States. This is what I bought it with the main blade as. You can see the Western States in an oval at the top. So these were produced around 1911 to 1950, but I would be really surprised if this thing was 1950. It's got the lanyard hole, it's got the ring included, and this stag is just insane. I think I had to remove this cover, and there was a big chip right there gone. So this cover had to get re-glued, and then I cut another piece of antler I had laying around and glued or epoxied that in. And then, basically punched that out, the pivot pin, and I may have had to punch out the backspring pin as well, but I might have actually gotten away with not. But in any event, I bought a few blades off Fleabay. I believe they're Queen produced, but this one is MSA Co. Bladestone Michigan marked. And on the back says A-Roy 150, something like that. In any event, it doesn't fit perfectly because this side of the blade, the back of the blade tang, is too deep for this spring. So the spring fills up the space. But from what it was, it's at least usable now. And it's definitely a kind of wall hanger. I know I need to clean it up a little bit, but there's not many knives made today that have this sort of stag. And again, the thing's around 100 years old, probably. Let's see, another one I picked up. I don't know the maker of this. I've looked through, all about old pocket knives. I've got some literature on old pocket knives. I've asked, a few online spaces. This is what the blade looked like when I bought it. I can almost imagine it's saying Solingen and a curve on the top, but it's just so faded. And yeah, I heavily oiled these. But if you can identify the handle and the bow tie shield, please let me know. But yeah, this was at a flea market tag sale store. None of this bone is chipped or cracked. Obviously super worn down. I left a lot of the patina. It was pretty bad. The rest of it was, it looked like this. It was nasty. And then again, I had a blade I'd been, had been in my drawer for a while, Shatton Morgan, Titusville, PA, and these were marked Queen, USA Carbon. And what else? Yeah, I got lucky again on this guy, and I did not have to remove the back spring. That's typically what happens is, obviously the pivot pin, but a lot of the time you have to remove the back spring, because if you don't, the pin is putting tension on the back spring. So in order to line up the holes in the blade and the pivot bolster, you got to take this out. That's typically what happens, but with this one, again, I just got lucky. All right, so this was my recent acquisition. Got this earlier this week, actually. I think it's a green bone. I'm gonna call it green bone. And from what I can tell, here's the blade, case tested XX. It's really tough with the 1920 to 1940 and then 1930 to 1940 production tang stamps. Differentiating, I am not adept at doing. So what do you think? I don't know, but in any event, I saw it for sale, and these are the blades cleaned up. As you can tell, they're just, this one was bent. I hammered it out a little bit, but I mean, they were pretty. The spay basically turned into a bit of a sheep's foot, Warncliffe, and it did have good snap. However, the main blade was just gonzo, and there was no snap, nothing I could do. And I mean, look at the difference. I mean, it was like a full ½ inch of belly gone. I mean, it was basically like a fillet knife. So I opted to, again, replace with some Shatton Morgan, Titusville, PA, again, Queen. So with these, and this, again, this isn't completed. I still got to clean this guy up, but I had to remove the pivot and the back spring. I tried squeezing it in a vise to relieve the pressure, but with the two back springs, it just was not happening. So I had to, and I learned this from the Knife Doctor, Southern Knife Hobbyist, and Knife Delights are the channels that come to mind on how to do this. But I basically cut the head off with a Dremel on the back pile side, and then just very, very lightly punched it out, and that one came out pretty easy. This pivot was like iron, lava welded in. It just did not want to come out. You can see I dinged up the bolster a bit, but yeah, after I got it out, I was able to replace those blades, and I mean, that's how it was. So yeah, you can definitely bring, and look at the snap, gator snap. Oof. And I put half stops on the back. Man. Yeah, so I would say these blades are a solid 7, maybe 8. I did not like the trapper pattern by Case for a long time. I don't know why. I say this a lot, but I just was not into it. I don't know, too traditional, too common. But my brother Lenny hooked me up with a few Case and Rough Rider trappers, and I just have really come to appreciate them. Especially, oh yeah, it's like a little, especially carrying them in the winter where you have some jeans on, more pockets. I like carrying bigger knives in the winter. But yeah, oh man, this thing is awesome. Definitely one of my favorites. And yeah, not just because it's new. I actually do have a high-end newer knife that I'm not particularly in love with. So it is possible to have a new knife that you don't gush all over. And I don't really have a before and after for these cleanups just because it's so noisy. I don't know how these other channels do it. They do a wonderful job. I can't match them. But yeah, this is an Ulster Knife Co. I was at the same flea market I got this one at, and it actually had been in a case for a year plus, and I've walked by it so many times. I think it was like $8, just trashed, totally trashed. So I finally picked it up. The blade was all basically serrated, just jagged and nasty, so I put a new edge on that. And then just cleaned it up a little, soaked it. I think these are rosewood, whatever they are. This knife's got to be, what, 50 years old? They're pretty solid. It's like a little bit of chipping there, but for whatever reason, I love these electrician knives. Half of the electrician knives, and I'll do another video, I have the screwdrivers and nail breaker. I can't even open them without using like pliers. And I've asked, some of these other channels like Knife Delights, because he's been doing this stuff for decades and decades. And that's just how some of it is. Probably gonna try an ultrasonic cleaner with some of the other nail breakers and see if that helps. But yeah, these are just such a, I don't know why, like an iconic working man's knife. I love the bail. I love that you can get them for cheap. Yard sales, flea markets, even if you want to go to Flea Bay. They're just cool knives. Half stop. I just keep this one out in my workshop of doom. Man, so good. Just as like another tool when I'm working on knives. And then, yeah, I've shown this one again, another Western. This was not a blade delete. This is just a Western from, the early 60s, 50s, 60s. I'd say earlier 50s because it had the lanyard hole, and look at that. Look at that bone. Incredible. Incredible. Yeah, obviously I could not match it. This is antler that I basically had an old antler, cut it in half with a bandsaw, and then I boiled it for a bit and put it in some clamps as it dried to flatten it out, and then used a big old belt sander to flatten it out even more, and then epoxied it on. Obviously the pins don't come through, but they are underneath, and what I tried to do is I matched up where they were sticking up and drilled corresponding holes. And yeah, this thing's not getting beat on. This is a, another 70, 80-year-old knife. Deer antler, whitetail. See, I really like these westerns. And finally, one of the best kept secrets in traditional pocket knives, Moore Maker. And these are actually made, as far as I know, by Bear & Son. And I recently picked this guy up and did a dye job. As you can see, I still gotta clean this guy up. But I use this product called Trans Tint. There was another knife channel that swore by this. He did a lot of like guitar renovations and very, very old pocket knife renovations and swore by this stuff. He's since deleted his channel, Dwayne. Yeah, kind of a mystery. Yeah, I really like the orange, and then obviously I jigged it. This was smooth white bone. So this is at least 2 or 3 coats. And then last night, because some of it was still coming off, I used an acid, so I used a white vinegar to thin the dye out a little bit and hopefully penetrate the bone a little better, and that seemed to work. You know, a lot of these dyes, even RIT dye, you know, you really need to use salt and heat, and I didn't really feel like boiling this guy, at least not yet. But yeah, another guy, Andrew AW, he's done a like a traditionally jigged with you know, like a faux stag look to it on one or more of his, and they just come out incredible. I don't have the skill for that, so obviously I opted for this kind of more old school look. Which I like, because you're not gonna get this, you know, this true stag. Where's the other one? You're not gonna get that. I don't think there's a way to replicate that. Alright, so this video is probably one of my longest. And there's more to come. This summer just went way overboard with knife purchases. Yeah, I guess there's worse things to buy, but you know, just a reminder, these are not investments. This is kind of just a little hobby we do on the side. All right, Walking Man 45.